This episode is brought to you by Elysian Wellness and Aesthetics. Elysian is a full-service med spa located in Oklahoma City. Their specialty is making you feel beautiful and increasing your vitality. Please check them out at ElysianWellnessOKC.com.
Figuring out content every day. Every day, if you're going to be an influencer, you have to be consistent and you have to figure out stuff every day to keep people engaged with you. And sometimes I think stuff I'm doing isn't very interesting, so why would someone be engaged? But at this point, people are engaged, and so I need to be authentic and do what I would do.
Hello and welcome to Deals with Heels. I'm Deborah.
And I'm Christina.
And we are your hosts. And this is our last in-studio episode of season 1.
I know. Can we just skip that part? I mean, even though it has truly been the biggest blessing, but I cannot believe this.
I know.
It's so exciting.
It's very exciting. And I know our producer Santiago is going to miss us while we're gone.
Yes. Well, what's not to remember by us?
Exactly.
And that actually is kind of something with you of coming into our studio. So
right. We have a special guest in studio with us for our last episode, Amy Jones. Welcome.
Hi. Thank you for having me.
You are so welcome. I met Amy fairly recently, and Amy is a new TikTok influencer. And I think a lot of people are really interested in how that happens and how it works. And Amy's kind of figuring it out right now. And so I just thought it was a great opportunity for us to talk about something we haven't talked about all season long that I think a lot of people are interested in, how that all happens.
Oh, I mean, it's a big thing with people now is leaving their mark, and everybody is so different that it is great because I've heard part of your story from Deborah, but when our audience hears it, it's going to be a different perspective for everyone. And I'm excited because this is a big deal. In our 2024, everything is going online. So whether you're still have your brick and mortar, things like that, but it's that social media presence that's going to, so I'm very interested because this is huge right now.
It really is. It seems like there's a ton of influencers, but there aren't that many. How many are on TikTok? Do you know?
It says there's about 4,000 right now. TikTok is so fairly new in this market.
You know, TikTok's been around a long time, actually. My daughter was in high school and she's 30. To me back then, it was a TikTok. It was the little jip that goes back and forth and back and forth. It wasn't such a huge platform, but it is new as far as being so popular and all this stuff, all the TikTok shop and all of it. It really is. And I think a lot of people think it's easy.
It's not.
It's nothing easy about it.
No.
I mean, I think everyone gets better the more you do anything. Practice is the way. I saw a video with, it was on the Graham Norton show. It was Ed Sheeran. Mm-hmm. And he was saying he goes, you know how people come up and they'll be like, oh, you're so talented and you're obviously born with all this talent. And I'm like, no. And he gets his phone out and he finds this recording and he plays it. And it's of him, who knows how long ago, playing the guitar and singing. And when I say it's off key and it's a high pitch, and I love the humility for him to be able to laugh at himself. But
well, that brings me to a very good point. It's all about the authenticity. You know, you might have that stroke of luck, but what's going to keep you there?
This is true. You and I have talked about this many times, that by far the trait that every really successful person has, especially if they are in the attention business, right? Is it's not being driven, it's not being confident, it's not even being talented, it's being authentic. You can
showing your vulnerabilities.
Yes, being vulnerable and showing that side of you that's really hard to show. And I think that you were really upset.
Yes.
When you did your video, she was really upset. And I think people really identify when they see that authenticity, that somebody's really upset about something. That
I would be upset too if I was in Europe and couldn't get home.
I would too. And then,
it's so relatable because it's like, of course, what girl wouldn't want to go to Europe? You know what I mean? And it's so relatable. And then it like brings that you're on this high, you're in Europe. And then it's like, oh, wait, there's reality. let me get back to that.
Yeah, reality hit me on that trip.
I can imagine. And
then the trolls.
The trolls are mean. You have to ignore them.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that goes back to anything, especially when you do become successful and stuff. It's not even them really trolling you. It's just they've got so much insecurities within themselves. And so it's just, you got to take the good with the bad. And sometimes
you definitely do. And from a marketing perspective, I think trolls are necessary to get to the influence, to get all of those followers. Trolls bring engagement. They point out things that make them mad, and they get people to engage. They get other people upset. Then there's people that defend you. And now they're in a big fight over your content and whether you should do that. And you should just sit back and enjoy the argument. And then if it dies down, egg it on a little bit so that it will generate even more, because that's what attention marketing is attract attention, whatever is attracting it. I mean, the Kardashians did it better than anyone.
And believe me, it's so funny. I watch things from a different perspective now. Like with the Kardashians, it's not necessarily about trash TV. They're damn good at what they do when it comes to a marketing standpoint. And let me look what Miss Chris is doing over here.
That's right. Man, she did prostitute her daughter out, but man, was it ever freaking worth it, right?
I mean, love them or hate them, they're everywhere. And that's the thing, is you're going to have the trolls, you're going to love them or hate them as long as you are doing what you love. And like I said, you were just sharing your authentic self.
So it really rang true. And I've watched the videos and she's just so upset. So we'll let Amy tell her story, but I also wanted to talk about that you're a breast cancer survivor.
Yes.
That's a big deal for us. We've both of our moms have passed, and my mom had cancer. She had lung cancer. She didn't die of that, but she would have. We had just found out it had spread. She died of something else, but it's just really close to our heart, and we love to be in the presence of a survivor that has overcome such huge things. And so congratulations on that.
Thank you.
How long have you been cancer-free?
I have been cancer-free for this year. In August will be my 15-year cancer-free birthday.
Oh, fantastic.
Congratulations. That is awesome.
That's fantastic numbers for breast
it's a great
cancer.
number because I had stage 3 breast cancer. So I had very aggressive breast cancer. We treated it very aggressively, and thank goodness the way that we treated it has been positive today.
You are the positive statistic that people hope for, because 15 years ago, stage 3 breast cancer, I have to say that the curable percentage of that's probably a lot less than now, for sure. But
they didn't think I was going to get better. They're not like, it's not if you're going to die, it's when you're going to die.
Well, that kind of brings us like almost full circle if you think about it.
Right. Why she would go to Europe and take that risk, because why not at this point?
Well, and your mindset, I mean, to be battling that at that age, when we didn't have all the research, and to be able to survive, your mindset, your will, and your passion and your drive had to take full control of that.
I can do anything, right? It has to be so. So to me, that puts the story in a little bit of perspective. Although, some people.
Hey, YOLO, baby, YOLO.
I live like that. That's one of my yes. And if I don't YOLO, I have FOMO. So,
well, I think that stands to reason after being such a survivor and surviving something that very few people did back then, and it's commendable. So, tell us your story about what happened on your trip, or how you got to go on your trip.
I had met a man on Facebook dating, and we decided that we were going to date. He lived in a different town. He lived in Joplin, Missouri. We started seeing each other pretty much immediately. We connected. I went to his home. We spent a weekend at his home. We spent the next 5 weekends traveling around, doing different things.
Ooh,
I thought he would be a great person to travel with. We had no problems, saw no red flags. But a red flag came up. He had an emergency and he disappeared. And when I questioned him about disappearing, he made me feel like I was giving him a hard time and very narcissistic.
Gaslighting.
Very. And so, but he had my passport. He had asked me to go to the Ryder Cup in Europe, which is a golf tournament. And we were planning this trip and we were sitting at his table planning it. And the weekend got away from us. And I was just like, I'm going to leave my passport here. I'll get it next weekend. Not a lot of thought into it. Well, he ends up ghosting me and he ends up having my passport. And so I decide that I have to kind of keep up some dialogue with him to get my passport back. I didn't want to have to drive 3.5 hours. I wanted him to give it back. I just wanted things to be simple, not dramatic. Well, I talked to him a couple of times and he said he'd mail it and he never did. Well, it got to be 5 days before it was time to go to the Ryder Cup in Europe. And he said, would you please reconsider going on this trip with me? I'd really like for you to go. And what this trip consisted of is going to the Ryder Cup in Europe, having presidential passes to the tournament, like where we had a suite. We were going to Athens after that. After Athens, we were island hopping in Mykonos, Santorini, and Crete. From there, we were supposed to go to Portugal and Spain.
Oh, my goodness.
So this was a 35-day trip. It was one of the most amazing things that I thought I was ever going to be included in.
And other than him disappearing for a period of time, everything else was great. You had been traveling a little bit here. And
yes, and we got along well. I thought he was a kind, nice man. I had asked someone that I knew from the town he was from if he was a good guy, and he said, yeah, he was. He had owned a business in this town for 40 years. So I didn't do the due diligence that I would do here in Oklahoma because I know all the ropes to look at people's backgrounds, but I thought I had done my due diligence. I had not. I let the trip get in the way of my common sense.
Well, it would be hard not to.
Oh, yeah.
Especially on the YOLO.
Yes, and I live on the YOLO.
Before kids, I was definitely yo-yo girl. So,
well, and I live that way because I've almost died. Life is so different for me. I think it's easier to do what you want to do and have no regrets than regret it forever. Mm-hmm. And so I'm very spontaneous, and sometimes that gets me in trouble, and sometimes I do amazing things.
Right.
So it's not for everybody, but it works for me.
Well, and it'd be great if you could heal and learn and grow your spirit by doing amazing things, but that's not the way it works. So no matter what you're doing in life, you're going to have some bullshit. And you're doing big, spontaneous, extravagant things. So you have to think that the growth that comes with that is probably pretty tough too.
You throw it out and it's a gamble. I mean, but the thing is, life is a gamble. I mean, so
it is. Yeah. So you ended up going on the trip.
Went on the trip. The first part of the trip, maybe the first 5-6 days, was pretty amazing. We were at the Ryder Cup at that point in time, watching golf, and that's something he really enjoyed. But I noticed he was starting to be on his phone a lot and taking a lot of selfies. And I thought, what 58-year-old man is going to sit over here taking selfies, being on his phone when he spent this kind of money on a trip to be on? And I just thought it was really odd. Well, we were in Athens and we had this incredible room. We got upgraded to the nicest suite of every hotel we were at. We were in the Winston Churchill suite in Athens. And that's where Winston Churchill had signed like some sort of treaty or something. It was like a home that we were in. Well, I had taken a bath. He was out on the patio and he comes in drunker than a skunk. And he's like, here's my phone. Keep me off of it. And I was like, what do you want me to do with it? And he said, well, here's my passcode. Well, I looked down at it and there's all these messages to women. And he had an ex-girlfriend. And I caught a glimpse of that and it said, Europe sure would look good on you. And I thought, well, I'm in Europe. Why is he saying Europe would look good on her? But then I read the rest of the messages. He was telling 7 other women Europe would look good on him, on them.
He's a serial dater.
He's a serial dater, but I just don't
he's
know.
in Europe with someone else, right?
Yes. And so I'm starting to pay attention now. I'm not saying that things are going to end or whatever. I'm just like on high alert. Like, what is this guy doing?
Right.
And we didn't say we were like one-on-one exclusive before we went.
Right.
And so I'm just thinking, you do you, I'll do me, we'll have fun.
Right.
Is kind of where I was at that point. Well, he couldn't just do him. He had to keep on inviting people. So I would look at his phone periodically and I would look at his Facebook posts. We had became friends on Facebook. Well, one thing I did to ensure that people would know, like hopefully these women that were interacting with him would know I was on the trip. I made a post on his Facebook post and I said, thank you so much for taking me on this trip. I said, Spain and Portugal are going to be amazing. He didn't notice that I made this post. So we fast forward and I find out that through his looking at his phone that he's invited another woman to Europe with us. And he's bought her a first-class ticket to come and join us over in Europe. And I asked him about this and he's like, oh, I was drunk. It was nothing. And I'm like, I saw where you bought the ticket. I said, do I need to go home? Oh, no, I was drunk. So I'm like,
he's thinking he's going to have him some hot action.
Yeah.
yes. And, I'm not into the hot action. So he can think whatever he wants, but I'm not into the hot action.
That all women are bisexual. I know a ton of men who think that. I'm like, you are wrong.
Yeah. I just don't know what he was going to do with 3 of us. And it never made
I know what
any
he
sense.
wanted to do, but.
Yes. And it never made any sense, especially 2 women not knowing that they were going to meet up with each other. That in and of itself
There's nothing
weird.
about that's going to end well.
Yes. And then the other red flag that he did is he asked to borrow my phone and we were walking and he said he wanted to see the map. Well, he texted his ex-girlfriend from my phone and said, leave Mark alone. Mark was his name. And I got a call the next day after the text from a police department leaving a message saying that if I didn't leave his ex-girlfriend alone, that I would be in the middle of a stalking investigation too. And so at this point in time, I asked him, I was like, what is going on? Like, what are you doing? Why are you using my phone? Like, what are you doing? This is getting crazy. And he's like, oh, I was drunk. We had a messy breakup. I've had messy breakups before, like in my 20s, nothing like in my 50s that he was doing. But I was just like, I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt. I said, if I need to talk to the police when I get home, I'll talk to the police.
So he was using your phone because she had his phone number blocked.
Yeah, so he's using my phone. So all this red flag stuff, we get to the end of the trip, like when we're in Crete, not the end of the trip, but the end of this place where I know the lady is going to meet us in Spain. And I decide 2 days before it's time to go to Spain, I had figured out how to contact her on Facebook because she had been liking all of his stuff, commenting. And I text her and I just said, hey, I was like, this is going to sound weird, but I said, I'm on this trip with this gentleman. And I said, he's invited you. And I said, I'm here and I really don't plan on leaving. And I said, I don't know if you want to come, what you're doing, but I said, I'm just giving you a heads up of what's going on. Well, she didn't believe me. So I had to go back and forth with her for like 20 minutes. And I said, look at this picture. I took it of him. I can tell you what he's wearing. I can send it to you from my phone. And I said, whatever you do, please don't say anything to him. I feel like he's dangerous. In the meantime, I contacted his ex-girlfriend. And I was sleeping in another room by this point because the trip had got so weird. But I had called his ex-girlfriend too. And I said, do I need to be concerned about this man? And she said, absolutely. She said, we were in Mexico last year and he threw all my luggage and my passport in the ocean. And I lost everything I had on the trip and we had to call the police. And so at that point in time, I packed up all of my things and I hear him ruffling around in the other room. And he's like, "What have you done?" And I was like, "No, what have you done?" I said, "You invited another woman on this trip." And that's when it got crazy.
Oh my goodness.
So, narcissist when you call them on their bullshit.
And they're fixing to get caught.
He told me at that time I needed to start figuring out how to get home, which I wasn't going to. A travel agent had made these plans. I mean, I'm a ferry ride, a cab ride. I'm a cab ride, a ferry ride, another cab ride back to the airport. I'm in Crete. I'm 4 airports away from getting home. Yeah. Like, I need help doing this. And he tells me that I need to plan it myself. I was like, not happening that way. So I end up getting my own room. He gets his own room. He decides to come home early also. He doesn't tell his travel agent that we're not together anymore on the trip. Well, he threatened to kill me in Crete. And so I had to go get a separate room and tell security and all that kind of stuff to get us separated. We end up
what happened
traveling.
To the other woman? Did she come?
No, she did not come. She ends up, after I told her about everything, she ended up telling him that she wasn't coming either. Sorry, that's a very important part of the story. So she ended up telling him that she wasn't coming either. So he's furious. And he's telling her that I'm looking on his Facebook post because I'm jealous and I want to be there with him and I'm a disgruntled ex-girlfriend. And he's pulling out everything. And this girl didn't know what to believe. And finally, I just said, "I don't care what you believe." I said, "I'm going home. He's dangerous. You know, you need to know this." So we get to the point where we're coming home and he lets me sleep all night in the Paris airport on the floor. He gets a hotel room. He's like, "Well, Helen got us a hotel room for Paris." I was like, "I wouldn't stay in a hotel room with you if you're the last person on earth." So I slept on the floor in Paris. It was freezing. People are not friendly there. That is not a good place to be by yourself, I can tell you that. But made it home. I was hoping that by some chance he would get in trouble coming in back to the United States. We walk through customs together. He gets arrested in Atlanta. And they tell me to go ahead and go on through. And apparently he's got arrested because he has warrants out for his arrest, 2 of them. One for stalking his ex-girlfriend and one for stalking a man that his ex-girlfriend was talking to and trying to destroy his business. So he gets detained in Atlanta for 12 days. And he's in jail for 12 days, which I think this couldn't have happened to anyone better. And then he comes back to where he lives out in Arkansas, and he's in jail for another 12 days before they get him out. So he served 24 days of jail time coming back from this trip.
Oh, my God.
I wonder if he was going to try to escape. Sounds pretty manic.
It does sound very, because I
was waiting for you to tell me that something was up with the money, like he was laundering money. Like, this is like a true crime. Like,
right? I mean, it could have been. Who knows what could have happened to her. So you came back and eventually you made your TikTok video.
I made a TikTok video, yes.
And she was, upset. This was a very traumatic experience and not at all what you were hoping for.
No.
So you made your video, and how long did it take before it went viral?
A day. It went crazy. I made a video. I was just telling my story. I had done some stuff on TikTok before. I am very ripe with TikTok right now. I'm just now learning, very green. And I'm trying to figure it out. But I just thought, I'm just going to make this TikTok and see what happens. Well, it went nuts. People started hating on me. People started loving on me. People started telling me how dumb I was. People started telling me what a great, girl I was for going on these trips. So I became controversial really fast. Mm-hmm. And then the story is so long. I've watered it. I gave the faster version of the story, but the story was big enough to have like 7 parts of it. Oh, wow. And all 7 parts have like over 100,000 views.
Good for you.
So I've tried to take, lemons and turn it into lemonade.
There you go. And that's why I'm saying good for you, because it's like you are living your best life and, just being able to share that with other women. One that is a breast cancer, going through breast cancer, of like, go live your best, you know what I mean? Fight so you can live your best life. And, I'm just.
So I think the question that everybody wants to know is, are you going to go on more trips?
Absolutely.
I would too.
I love
Absolutely.
it. I so you've too. Been on some good trips too, right?
Yes, I've been on some really cool trips. I seem to be the girl that men like to invite on vacation. I'm vacation girl.
Gosh,
What do I need to do to be
that doesn't sound like it sucks, but
you run but here's the thing. Every time you get in your car, you run the risk of,
yeah.
I mean, you run the risk of doing anything.
So what do you think percentage of good versus bad?
Oh, I've had 80% good, 20% bad.
Yeah.
I've done some
Right?
really cool things with some really cool people that maybe I wasn't going to have a long-term relationship with, but they said you'd be a great date for the weekend. Let's go do this. I've had a lot of fun. I've been to Napa. I've been to Paso Robles.
Good for
been
you.
to Chicago. I've been to Notre Dame football games.
Ooh.
I mean, just a lot of very fun things.
Well,
That's awesome.
If I wasn't married with 3 children.
So what do you think the biggest struggle is now for you?
Trust.
Yeah.
I trust very easily. And I realized with this particular thing that things aren't always as they seem. And just because someone seems this way after 5 or 6 weeks, that's probably not who they are. And I need to not be spontaneous. I need to slow down a little bit and really
At least
think
maybe
through a
stay
few
in the
things.
United States.
Stay in the
or
United States.
on the continent.
Yes.
Yeah. I was a long ways home. It took me 3.5 days to get home when I came home. It was a long trek.
Yeah.
Yeah. What part of being an influencer do you think is the most difficult?
Figuring out content every day. Every day, if you're going to be an influencer, you have to be consistent and you have to figure out stuff every day to keep people engaged with you. And sometimes I think stuff I'm doing isn't very interesting. So why would someone be engaged? But at this point, people are engaged. And so I need to be authentic and do what I would do.
Mm-hmm.
And people are still interested when I'm being authentic, which amazes me. So
Well, and that's why they're interested. You know, we can hide our true selves for a while and it can get us so far. But to really get that, you have to be.
It has to be authentic. Otherwise, it fizzles because you
Yes.
can't maintain. They say about 3 months. Somebody can maintain for about 3 months and then reality starts creeping in to it. Tell us about how the TikTok shop works. They offer you things to buy and things for free.
yes, TikTok shop. So you can be a content creator on TikTok shop if you have 5,000 or more followers. And so once you have 5,000 or more followers, you apply to this program and say, I'd like to be a creator. You can buy stuff to pitch in your deal, in your like little segments of promoting the product, or you can get samples. I have stuff coming in every day of people wanting me to promote their products. So I have I'm going to have to come up with
Are those in the TikTok shop that they're coming in?
Yeah,
Okay.
they're in the TikTok shop. So everything's like this shirt I have on TikTok shop. So this jacket, TikTok shop.
So they're messaging you
So
on
they're
TikTok.
messaging me on TikTok shop and they're saying, hey, if I give you this stuff, will you promote it? And then I'll give you a commission.
Right.
But what I'm going to do one further than going on the TikTok shop, I'm going to be a TikTok seller. So I'm going to have my own TikTok shop.
Oh,
And that's what I'm working on right now. That seems to be the better way. That seems to be the wave of the future. What they're saying, if you're a TikTok seller, if you can do this now, it's like being in early days of Amazon. This is so new.
Oh,
So
wow.
they're saying it's big.
So like drop shipping.
Drop shipping, yes.
Yes.
That's what I'm going to be doing is drop shipping. And that is a big deal.
It really is.
TikTok said that they're going to put, I think like $6 billion into their platform this year to grow it. And that's, more than they had put in any, like double of more than they've put in any years past. And they're doubling it this year. And you're not going to see the videos where people are dancing and doing all the silly stuff. They're trying to make it where you get to know people and you have relationships is what they're pushing this year.
That's good.
It is good. I get tired of the same sales stuff over and over. I like to have the real content, the real people. I think that's what draws all of us in. That's why you can't win American Idol by just being a great performer. You got to have a human interest story to attract people in. And so I think that's fantastic. I recently qualified for their Facebook bonus. And so it randomly pays for original content that I post. Very small amounts though.
Yes.
But I can see how if it starts, then all of that adds up. And just think if you would have already had that when you got 300,000, she got like 350,000 views on the original video.
Oh, wow.
So that would have generated a lot too.
Yeah.
I think a great idea for content that I think people would be interested in is stories about the other trips.
Yes.
That's what I would want to know.
I've posted a story about another trip.
Yes.
I've put another trip on there that I did. I went to Vegas once with somebody and the guy was just crude. Yeah. We went to a place called the Angry Beaver and he told me he was going to make my beaver angry later. So I'm a chicken shit. So when he went to sleep, I snuck out and I left. So, and I went to Vegas by myself. I had $200, sat down at a blackjack table. I won $8,000. I've never done anything like that in my life. And my trip to Vegas was amazing.
Yeah. I mean, you take risks and it's one of those things that it's a law of attraction. Like, yeah, I mean, so that's all.
Yeah. You and I had talked about the content thing when we talked that I'm interested in those stories about the trip. So if you are, please go to Amy's TikTok. What's your TikTok handle?
It's _Amy J 1971.
Okay. Yes. Go check it out.
And we will also have that in our show notes.
Yes, we will.
Thank you.
We will.
Yes. Yeah.
So anxious to see how well you grow and to see your own TikTok shop. For those people who don't know what drop shipping is, that is when you don't actually ever lay hand on the product ever. You set up essentially affiliate, you're selling it, but the manufacturer ships it for you. So, and pays a percentage on it. There's lots of things that you probably buy out there on the internet that you don't realize are being drop shipped, but a lot of times like swag, you order somebody's t-shirt off their website. That's probably drop shipped. They're not packing that up and shipping it. But a boutique, for example, lots of those have brick and mortar stores too, but not all of them. So it's a thing of the future, and it is a way to really get into that online sales business. And so I'm anxious to keep up with Amy's progress.
Me too. Well, thank you so much for coming today.
Yes. We have our normal segment that we do in every episode. We haven't decided if we're going to continuing it into season 2.
Yes.
But it is called
Show Us Your Deals.
And it came about because Christina and I bonded over our love for heels and many other things. And as we got to know each other and really cheerlead for each other, and we did that from the beginning.
Yeah, we did.
And if we did something good, no matter what that was, for me, it was generally I closed a deal, but also having a great mindset and overcoming just anything really that you're proud of. We would take a picture of the heel we were wearing when we did it. And so it was really an uplifting thing for both of us to see him. If she sends me one, I'm like, okay, Christina did something good. So this season, we have encouraged other female entrepreneurs and business women to participate, and they have done that. They send us pictures of their heel. We don't discriminate. You don't have to actually have a high heel. Anything works. We've had tennis shoes and combat boots and all kinds of stuff, and tell us the thing that they did that they're proud of. And then we go through them and we feature one every week, and they are our Queen of the Week. So our last Queen of the Week for season 1, can you believe it?
I know.
Is Angela Caroline Misiano. Mm-hmm. And she owns the Yoga Mountain Day Spa
in Medicine Park,
Oklahoma. What a cool place.
Oh, yeah.
Medicine Park in and of itself is a fantastic place to visit. It is a old community. Mm-hmm. I think that like some bank robbers and stuff used to hang out there.
Really?
It's got kind of a cool history, but it is down in the Wichita Mountains. which aren't very tall. We are in Oklahoma, but it's a beautiful area. And so you and I both have packages for the day spa. I can't wait to go.
I know now that the season's over, we can go. We'll go there and brainstorm for next season.
We'll bring Amy.
I was going to say, bring me.
Who knows what kind of exciting thing would happen to us.
We'll do some TikToks.
We'll have to video it. We'll do lots of video for it. So please check out Angela's Yoga Mountain Day Spa. Not yogurt. Did I say yogurt?
No.
It felt like I did. Her website is yogamountainspa.com.
Yeah.
And you can find a link to that in our show notes.
And congratulations to Miss Angela. Yes.
You are our Queen of the Week. So ladies, you can, are we going to get more? Should we?
Yes. Why not? It's us.
Send us your deals.
You send them.
Send them. You can send them to deals@dealswithheels.com. You can post on social media, or you can tag us at
Deals with Heels.
Hashtag Deals with Heels.
You would think we would know this after 24 episodes.
I think I probably did it perfectly every episode except this
one. Yeah.
I also wanted to thank our sponsor, Elysian Wellness and Aesthetics. Lori, Dr. Lori over there, that is the owner of that clinic and med spa, is fantastic. She was the sponsor of our entire Mindset series.
Yes.
And she is a fantastic female entrepreneur.
I love Miss Lori.
I do too. She is inspiring. She is a hustler.
She is a hustler.
She is a hustler.
Go to her office and she's a hustler. I'm still making sure she's always organized for her craziness.
We're so grateful for her for supporting us all season. And she's our sponsor. Please check out her website at ElysianWellnessOKC.com. And you can link to that also in our show notes and from our website.
Yes.
So, are we at the end?
We are at the end
of the season. Where's our champagne?
You and your champagne.
I know. I want champagne for every good occasion. They had at Slate where I met you at Conversations Over Cocktails where we had our launch party. They had the best Prosecco there.
Oh, really?
Yes. It was so good.
It was the one by Coppola, right?
Yes, Coppola. Okay. Yeah, it was really good. So
I'm just not a champagne.
Ooh,
I'm just like, it was one of those when at our party, it was deep. Here you go, Deborah.
It's my favorite.
Thank you.
So, I hate to say goodbye, but this is we will have another episode that will be just Christina and I interviewing one another.
Yes. Questions and answers, all of that fun.
Right. We are going to answer some viewer questions, some of our questions from fans that they have asked throughout the season that we haven't answered any of them yet. And then kind of an interview. And
if you want to know how tall we are with our heels, definitely tune into that video.
That's right. That's right. That by far is the most common question. How tall are we?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know why they care.
But
we will disclose our height with and without heels in the question and answer period that Christina and I are going to do when we interview ourselves. Thank you so much, Amy. I always want to call you Amy Jo. And you're Amy Jones. Not Amy Jo, but I don't know why.
I'll answer to Amy Jo.
I don't know, something about her. But please check out her TikTok and her story and all of her content. Buy something from her that she's selling in the TikTok shop. And thank you so much for coming and sharing your story with us and with all of our listeners. It's so inspiring just to see you live your life like no holds barred and no regrets.
My mom died at 38, so live.
Yes.
And that's what I'm doing now. It's living, I'm not going to let anything stop me, and neither should you.
Yeah, me either.
It's
Deborah time.
Go live your best life. You only have one life to live.
Agreed.
All you got is your time. So,
hey, this is true. So everyone out there, until we see you next season.
Yes.
So live your best life. And please check out all of our episodes. Our video episodes are available on YouTube as well.
Yes.
And we would love to have you over there. And thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right.
We're out.
We're out. We did it. The whole season.
Yes, it's
Good
done.
job. Good job. Good job.
This episode is brought to you by Elysian Wellness and Aesthetics. Elysian is a full-service med spa located in Oklahoma City. Their specialty is making you feel beautiful and increasing your vitality. Please check them out at ElysianWellnessOKC.com.